They tell you which one's cheaper, but not which one will save your life. Walk into a gun store tomorrow and I guarantee they'll push whatever puts the most cash in their register. I'm talking about the Remington 870 versus the Mossberg 590, two legendary pump-action shotguns that have been duking it out for decades. Here's the thing nobody mentions at the counter. These aren't just guns, they're investments in your safety, and the differences matter way more than anyone's letting on. Today I'm spilling everything after 20 years of trigger time with both. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and entertainment purposes, nothing more. I'm not your instructor, not telling you what to buy or how to use anything. Follow your local laws always, get professional training, and handle firearms responsibly every single time. What you're about to hear is pure observation from the gun community. None of them are instructions. Are we clear? Good. Let's get started. The showdown nobody explains right. So here's what's wild about these two shotguns. They're basically America's favorite argument at the gun range. Everybody's got an opinion, and half of them are wrong because they're repeating what some guy at a store told them once. The Remington 870 showed up in 1950. Yeah, that's over 70 years of proven performance right there. More than 10 million have rolled off the production line since then. Police departments across America trusted this thing for generations. When you hear police shotgun, this is probably what they're carrying. Then in 1961, Mossberg introduced their Model 500. It was a wise choice, to be honest. They maintained its dependability while making it less expensive than the 870. A little later, they designed the 590 especially for people who require significant tactical capability. But wait, here's where things get spicy. The Mossberg 590 is the only pump shotgun that passed the U.S. Army's absolutely brutal mil-spec 3443 test. We're talking 3,000 rounds of full-power buckshot without falling apart. They froze it, baked it, dropped it, and it kept working. That's not marketing hype, that's documented military testing. Does that mean the Remington 870 is inferior? Not even close, and that's exactly the kind of misleading comparison that drives me nuts. The 870 was never submitted for that specific test, but it's been proving itself in cop cars and hunting camps since your grandpa was young. Gun stores won't explain this nuance because it takes time and doesn't lead to a quick sale. The safety thing they always skip. Okay, this next part might actually matter more than anything else, especially if things go sideways at 2 in the morning. I'm talking about where these guns put their safety switches, and trust me, this isn't boring technical stuff. Mossberg went with a tank safety right on top of the receiver. Your thumb hits it naturally. Left-handed, right-handed, doesn't matter one bit. You can literally see the red dot that shows you're ready to fire. In a dark hallway when your heart's pounding, that visual confirmation is absolutely clutch. The Remington 870 is a crossbolt safety at the trigger guard. If you're right-handed and using a regular stock, it feels completely natural and quick. Honestly, it's a great design for most shooters. But here's the catch nobody mentions. Are you left-handed? Then the 870's safety is in a really awkward spot unless you special order a left-handed model or pay someone to reverse it. Meanwhile, the Mossberg doesn't care which hand you favor. It just works for everyone. Plot twist incoming though. Say you decide later to add a pistol grip tactical stock to your setup. Suddenly that Mossberg tank safety becomes harder to reach because your hand isn't sitting over the receiver anymore. The 870's trigger guard safety actually works better in that configuration. So which one's superior? That's the wrong question entirely. It depends on your body, your setup, and how you plan to use the gun. But I've watched store employees demonstrate both safeties in about 5 seconds and move on without explaining any of this. The loading secret that changes everything. Here's something that could save you precious seconds when it counts. These shotguns load shells completely differently, and most stores never bother showing you properly. The Remington 870 has this shell lifter thing that covers the loading port when the gun's at rest. Every single time you want to stuff a shell in the magazine, you're pushing it up against that springy metal carrier. It works fine, don't get me wrong. Some folks actually prefer it because that carrier shields the action from dirt and debris. Now check out what Mossberg did with a 590. The elevator stays up and out of your way. The entire bottom of the receiver is just wide open. You can thumb shells straight into the magazine tube without fighting any mechanical parts at all. Why does this matter? Speed and stress. Imagine you're in a defensive situation and you need to top off your magazine right now. With the Mossberg, you're just poking shells into that open port without thinking. With the Remington, you're pushing past that carrier every single time. It's not a huge difference on the range when you're relaxed, but under pressure, when your hands are shaking, that open loading port is legitimately easier. I've seen this play out in training scenarios dozens of times. The Mossberg consistently gets loaded faster by new shooters who are stressed. Yet gun store owners almost never demonstrate actually loading during their sales pitch. They just rack both actions and say, yep, They both pump. The capacity game and quality secrets. Gun stores absolutely love talking about magazine capacity because bigger numbers sound more impressive. Let's cut through the nonsense here. A typical Mossberg 590 gives you 8 shells in the tube plus 1 in the chamber. That's 9 rounds of 12-gauge firepower before you need to reload. Sounds great, right? Meanwhile, a standard Remington 870 might give you 4 plus 1 or 6 plus 1 depending on which model you're looking at. But here's what they don't explain. You can easily add a magazine extension to an 870 and match or beat the Mossberg's capacity. The catch? Modern 870 Express models have these annoying little dimples in the magazine tube that you have to drill out or press out first. Takes maybe 20 minutes with the right tools, but stores conveniently forget to mention that extra step. Now we need to talk about quality variations because this is where things get really interesting. Not every Remington 870 is built the same. The Budget Express models use plastic trigger guards and plastic followers. The finish is so thin it'll rust overnight if you breathe on it wrong in a humid room. I'm not exaggerating. I've seen brand new Express models develop surface rust within days. But an 870 Police model or Wingmaster? Completely different animal. Better metal parts, stronger springs, machined extractors instead of cheap cast metal, and finishes that actually protect the gun. These cost more, but they'll outlast the Express by decades. Mossberg kept their quality pretty consistent across their lineup. The standard 590 is solid and reliable. Step up to a 590A1 and you get that heavy wall military spec barrel plus all metal construction on the trigger housing. It costs more, but it's legitimately tougher. Here's the sneaky part. A salesperson will show you a $400 870 Express next to a $500 Mossberg 590, and they won't tell you that a $600 870 Police would outlast both of them, or they'll push you toward the most expensive tactical model loaded with features you'll probably never use because their commission is higher. Always ask specifically which variant you're looking at and what the internal quality differences are. Watch how uncomfortable they get. Quick pause if you're enjoying the video, tap that like button and hit subscribe. It really helps us reach more great folks like you. All right, back to it. The rust problem nobody admits. Time for some uncomfortable truth. Remington went through a really rough patch in the 2000s when they were owned by a corporation called Freedom Group. Quality control went straight into the toilet on those Express models. We're talking rough chambers that cause firing shells to stick, finishes so cheap they'd rust in a climate-controlled room, extractors made from inferior cast metal that would chip and break. This gave the 870 a reputation problem it honestly didn't deserve because older Wingmasters from the 70s and 80s are still running strong today. But stores kept selling those problematic guns because the profit margins were good. They'd hand you a gun that might jam on cheap ammo and say, it's the legendary Remington 870, while technically leaving out which version of the 870 you were actually getting. Meanwhile, Mossberg just kept making consistently reliable shotguns. Nothing fancy, but they worked. The aluminum receiver won't rust, though every other steel part still will if you ignore basic maintenance. Good news time though. After Remington went bankrupt and reorganized as Rem Arms, the quality reportedly improved on newer production guns. But if you're buying used or old new stock that's been sitting around, you need to know what era it's from. A Police trade-in 870 for $250? Probably an amazing deal because it's built to higher standards. A 2010 Express that's been sitting in inventory? Maybe pass unless you're ready to polish the chamber yourself. Home defense real talk. For protecting your home, here's what actually matters versus what's just marketing designed to empty your wallet. Stores want to load you up with rails, lasers, extended tubes, and every tactical widget under the sun. Both guns deliver devastating 12-gauge stopping power. Both are reliable when you maintain them properly. Both can be equipped with weapon lights and upgraded sights. The differences come down to specific design choices. The Mossberg's ambidextrous safety is genuinely helpful if multiple people in your household might need to use the gun, especially if anyone's left-handed. That easy loading port means faster reloads under stress, like we talked about earlier. The factory's higher capacity means you're ready without modifications. The 870's slightly smoother pump action might give you faster follow-up shots if you're well trained. The steel receiver will take abuse for literal decades. If you want to customize everything, there's more aftermarket support available because it's been around longer. But here's what the secret stores won't say. For 90% of home defense situations, both guns will perform the job equally well if you've practiced with them. The difference isn't the hardware, it's your familiarity with it. A $500 Mossberg 590 that you train with every month will absolutely outperform a $1,000 tricked-out 870 that sits untouched in your closet. Practice beats gear every single time. Hunting versatility exposed. Here's where the Remington 870 pulls significantly ahead. The tactical-focused stores might not even mention this angle. If you want one gun for both home defense and hunting, the 870 is way more versatile. Period. The 870 has an enormous variety of barrels available. Want to hunt ducks? Grab a 28-inch vent rib barrel with interchangeable choke tubes. Need to hunt deer? Swap to a fully rifled slug barrel. Turkey season? There's a barrel for that too. You can buy combo packages with multiple barrels and swap them in literally seconds. The Mossberg 590 was purpose-built for tactical work. That extended magazine tube means standard Mossberg 500 field barrels won't fit without modifications. You're stuck with tactical length barrels, usually no choke options, and a gun that's heavier than you want for all-day bird hunting. Stores that specialize in tactical gear might not even bring this up. They'll show you the 590 looking all business with its Parkerized finish and high capacity, completely ignoring the fact that it's basically useless for duck hunting. If you want a Mossberg for hunting, you actually need a 500, not a 590, or you need to own multiple guns, which conveniently means more sales for them. What they won't tell you. All right, here are the actual secrets the gun stores will not volunteer unless you specifically know to ask. The Mossberg is genuinely easier for new shooters and left-handed shooters because of that ambidextrous safety and simple loading system. But most store employees are right-handed and don't realize or frankly don't care about this advantage for other shooters. If you want one gun that does everything, you probably want an 870 with multiple barrels, not a 590. But if the store specializes in tactical gear, they're incentivized to sell you the tactical-only option because that's what they stock. Quality varies massively within the 870 product line. An Express and a Wingmaster are not the same gun by any stretch. Stores will show you the cheap one and trade on the reputation of the expensive one, though. Both guns will absolutely rust if you don't maintain them. That tough-looking Parkerized finish on a 590, it needs oil just like everything else. Stores skip this part because they want the sale to feel worry-free. The military-tested marketing on the Mossberg sounds really impressive, but both guns meet similar reliability standards in real-world use. The 590A1 passed one specific torture test, but that doesn't mean the 870 Police isn't equally durable in actual field conditions. Your best choice depends on this. So here's my straight answer after years of experience with both platforms and watching people use them in actual situations. You want a classic, reliable workhorse that can handle everything from home defense to duck hunting with a simple barrel swap? Get the Remington 870. If budget matters, look for a used Police or Wingmaster model. Just make sure it's not from the rough quality control era, and be ready to polish the chamber if it's an Express. You want modern tactical features, factory rails, law enforcement styling, higher capacity out of the box, and controls that work for any shooter regardless of which hand they favor? Get the Mossberg 590. Buying used either way, check the serial number for any recalls, inspect the bore in action carefully, and don't let pressure from a salesperson rush your decision. For 90% of shooters who just want a reliable pump shotgun for home defense and occasional use, either one will serve you brilliantly for decades with basic cleaning and maintenance. Honestly, the best gun is whichever one you'll actually practice with regularly. The real question isn't Remington or Mossberg at all. It's whether you're willing to put in training time to make whatever you choose truly effective. A $400 shotgun with 100 hours of practice beats a $1,000 setup that stays locked in a safe gathering dust. That's the complete truth about these two legendary shotguns that most gun stores won't share with you. Now I want to hear your thoughts. Which shotgun do you prefer and why? Drop your comments below and let's discuss this. If this video helped you make a better decision or taught you something new, subscribe to Guns You Can't Live Without for more honest firearms content that cuts through the marketing. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video.